GoodFITT 90.3 FM.
Montreal, my city, the #1 morning show in the country. We are back, Tata. Let me tell you, man, the lions couldn't get me. I ain't seen no elephants. The baboons, it was raining. The baboons ran to the enclosure. These bougie ass hippos, they won't come out the water and salute a dude from Snow Hill. These brothers had me stressed. Now this morning, these two guys made me sick. One guy is my trainer. The other guy's another trainer we've met for the last year or so. Beautiful work they've done. They've saved lives. You guys have recuperated people's bodies. You guys have motivated, engineered the whole thing. This month, they're doing a workshop. I know some of y'all is feeling stressed. I know some of you guys are depressed. Y'all was feeling like me flying back from Charles de Gaulle. I came back from Paris, Tata. I'm on the plane. They had me in the middle. 3 white women from Quebec. I mean, in the middle. My stomach was funny, Ian. I didn't have to go, but I was upright. I've never felt this pressure on my blood. I was stressed. I said, how come Kareem and Ian cannot do this stress workshop on the plane? What's going on in Air France? But this morning, if you guys haven't had a workout with him, I've spoken about him ad nauseum. My personal trainer, I gave him the name. We got Kareem Rawlins in here. Coach K, what's going on, King?
What's happening? What's happening?
You see the guy? See, all these guys won't come on the show with deeper voices than me.
What's happening?
Tata, I've never seen somebody leave this guy's chamber or how you call your office, your place of work. Tata, I've never seen someone leave his hands, his care, without a smile on their face.
Listen, I can tell.
I don't know what he's doing in there. He shares the same name as me. He even writes it the same way. Better looking guy, but it's okay. We all made it to the All-Star game.
Hey.
We have Ian Jones in the building. How you doing, King?
Good, man. Good. Appreciate you.
Ian's like, it's my first time on here. It's your first interview?
Yeah.
It's a good place to start. Good place to start.
Yes, sir.
So let me put it up here. You guys have an event coming up called We Are Stress. Success Strategies for Managing Stress Workshop. So life moves fast and stress is a part of the hustle, Tata. Don't we know this?
Listen.
But it doesn't have to take over your whole life. Join us at the Embassy Suites by Hilton Montreal Airport for a powerful interactive workshop designed to equip you with the tools to manage stress like a pro. So you guys are talking about mindfulness techniques, time management hacks. You guys are gonna have an expert-led sessions. Will help people take control, boost their productivity, improve their overall well-being. Whether you're an entrepreneur, professional student, or just feeling overwhelmed by life's event, We Are Stress is the workshop. What's the date for it?
April 19th.
Okay, so it's coming up. So we're gonna get these videos up there. We're also gonna put the link on the link tree.
Appreciate it.
Before we go to the workshop, Kareem's been on the show before,
Yes,
Tata.
he has.
Let's hit Ian with some questions here.
First one, why are you so bubbly?
I'm just a happy person.
What's your sign? Next one, what's your sign? You know what I mean? They hate that. I mean it, though.
Taurus.
Taurus? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Are you born in Montreal?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, we'll get to you more after, but
Yeah.
how did this meetup happen? Like, talk a little bit about what you do and then about the partnership.
It was actually a funny situation because during COVID, I was working at another gym down by Pierrefonds, and I was looking for another spot, and I rolled up to the place that Kareem was working at.
Yeah.
And he's literally the first person to come up to me, and he's like, yo, what's up? How you doing, man? This is how things run here.
Oh,
So I was
such
like,
a
all
gentleman,
all
as usual.
Yeah. Much respect there. So yeah, I started to develop my craft over there. I started off personal training, and then I was like, I really need more information. I want to help people out in the different ways. I feel like we have a lot of personal trainers doing their thing out there. So I wanted to kind of bring a different mix in there. So I started doing more certifications, educating myself a little more, and I became a movement specialist. So.
Yeah. I see that a lot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're in the age where you could be anything you want, baby.
Yeah.
Explain to us a little bit about your expertise in movement
Yeah.
and pain management and how unique that is.
Yeah, so it's a funny thing, right? When we look at pain, we see pain as something like, oh my gosh, this is something that's happening to me, but it's just a signal. Okay, so basically what I do is I help the communication between the brain and the body. So a lot of times when we work out, we don't actually necessarily know what's happening. We're just like, oh yeah, we're getting fit, I'm moving better, I have more energy, but again, there's this neurological pathway that is happening between the brain and the body, and we call that neuroplasticity, which is the ability for the brain to learn what's
Yeah.
going on in your body, and we lose that,
create
right?
new
When we're sitting,
connections and
yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because when we're sitting down and we're working, we're constantly sitting in this position. But the thing is we're not moving as much. We're not running. We're not playing sport. You know, we're not gallivanting.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You see,
So,
if my papa was here, he used to always tell me it's to gallivant the street, and now look,
You need the movement.
sedated,
You need-
office job.
Exactly. So that's pretty much what I do. I use different types of modalities to help individuals not only get rid of their pain, but understand where their pain's coming from and how to cope with it.
Okay, so what is, like you mentioned, you use different modalities. What example of that could you give us?
So muscle testing is one of them. So for example, it's interesting. Like we'll use like an example of a bicep, right? The bicep bends the elbow. Okay, I'm still doing the movement. That doesn't mean I'm using the bicep. So again, that muscle-mind connection. I need to utilize the muscle in order to.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
You see, Tamara gets educated. Neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
She's learning.
She loves the long words. She loves
Okay,
I don't say words longer than 10 letters,
Yo,
me
I
personally.
totally get it. Okay, because sometimes in the gym, it's the difference between knowing that you had an awesome workout and knowing that you just made it to the gym, right?
Yes.
Sometimes I just make it to the gym. So I know that my connection, my neural connectivity to the muscles in my body was not working, right? So versus those times where you're doing the leg press and you're not rushing, you're focused on your breathing. I think it's like being more present and in your body instead of just focused on doing the exercise.
Yeah, so like for example, like let's just say you get injured, right? You're playing basketball, you dislocate your shoulder. That's a trauma response that goes to the brain. And then what happens is that brain says, oh my goodness, you know what? We're not going to utilize those muscles anymore.
Yeah.
And when that happens, that's when you get compensations, right? So that's where pain comes. There's some connection there that's not being made, and then that creates pain. And then a lot of other personal trainers, physiotherapists, whatever the case might be, they look where the pain is. That's not what's happening. Like an analogy I like to use for my clients is,
How do you work through it, kind of? You're focusing more on working through the pain?
not necessarily just working through the pain, but you find other ways to do the things that you always do every single day.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, if you hurt your knee, you start limping. Why
Yeah.
are you limping?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to find a way to walk.
Okay,
You
yeah.
understand what I mean?
Yeah.
The analogy I like to use for my clients is just saying, like, if you have a fire alarm in a house, right? That doesn't mean the fire's there.
Yeah.
That's where the smoke's going. So
Yeah.
the fire alarm's going off.
The
We need to find the fire
smoke could be in the
first.
backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it,
Yeah.
bubbly Ian. Okay.
No, hit him with the slogan. Hit him with the slogan.
Jonesing to move.
Hit him with the slogan.
Wait, I want to get on Jonesing to move. That's the
Yes.
name of your
Yeah.
company.
Do you know what it
right?
means?
You're so bubbly, Jonesing to move. I love
Yes.
it, right?
Do you know what jonesing means?
No, explain to me. I'm
So
gonna play
it means
stupid.
addicted to.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, I'm gonna play stupid. Oh, you're so sweet.
If I see your video one more time on my timeline, hey, I'm Ian.
He's so cute. He's like, do you know what jonesing is? I think I'm jonesing right now, baby.
Yo, but your video is so good because I'm like, I'm engaged, but I know the dude. I'm like,
yeah.
I find myself trying to fight myself to not click on it.
Yeah.
It's so inviting. That's a great video.
It's so
but if I
bubbly.
see it one more time, I'm out to mute you. I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you.
Austin, yeah, jonesing to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the slogan.
So Kareem, I want to talk to you real quick. You've been on the show a plethora of times. You're my personal trainer.
Yeah.
I know I got to get back on it. You know, we've had some incredible runs.
Yeah, it's okay.
You're a personal trainer, fitness coach, and entrepreneur. Over the last couple of years, I've seen you take your brand to a whole different level. The brand is called GoodFITT, Personal Trainer and Wellness Services. So now, you've been at this for a while. We had you on before. How do you kind of look at fitness now? Now that you've met other trainers, you've educated yourself, now you've added on so much more certifications over the time. How do you view personal training? 'Cause I know you and we always talk about the fact that there's so much people on social media claiming to be a trainer, claiming to be a motivator, but I don't see them with the same certification as you guys. You guys really know your stuff.
And even with the certification, what's their motivation? You know what I mean? Jesus.
I mean, the current state of fitness right now is there's a lot of players, but not really many people are playing the right game, right? And it's not to disrespect anybody because everyone has a job to do. It's just that a person can be certified to do something, but doesn't mean they're doing it well. And one of the things that I take pride in is always doing the best to do better and learning from persons. Like I've learned a lot from this man. I watch him do stuff with clientele, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take that. You know, I go home and I go, Brandon, come. I'm sure I do this thing.
That neuroplasticity.
Let's locate that fire. I'm trying to locate that fire. I'm gonna use that.
But you have to have that desire to want to be better. And I think that in a state where everybody is there's so many people out there doing the same thing as you. You have to differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that I've learned to differentiate myself over the past 16 years to, really take interest in people and understanding, not just their physical needs, but also the mental health aspect of it too.
You know what I think the difference is? I'm talking as if I'm your client. But
You can be.
I
Hey,
social
listen.
media stalk, okay? But from what I see, I think it's like, you're a family man, and you have morals and values, and you stand on them. And you hear it also in your podcast that you do, and your little reels and stuff like that. You're not just talking the talk, you walk the walk.
Right.
My issue with because I used to have a trainer, right? Thorough, and I've been put on blast ever since. He touched my butt, okay? And I was just like, listen, after that, I had a weird relationship with the gym. And then I wanted to go and only wear like really, really big shirts to hide my butt. And it's like, it's something that you hear about a lot. Like, trainers, they just want to get in it with girls. They just want to touch girls. But it's hard now in this day and age because like you said, there's social media. People are getting popular off social media.
Right.
So you look at someone and say, okay, they have 20K followers. They've trained people, the credibility is there. But the morals is different. The values is changing. So I think it's more than just meeting people new and getting more certifications. I think is also who you are at your core. You generally want to help people for the right reasons.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the goal. I mean, like, your reputation has to mean a lot.
Yeah.
And the fact that my wife has trusted me with working. A lot of my clientele are women. My wife has trusted me all these years to not overstep any boundaries.
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
I can't dismiss that in any sort of way or try to work around that, have an ulterior motive. So my goal has always been the same. It's to help people to be the best version they can be.
I think the best trainers are really those who are married and have a relationship. I think that's what
Oddly enough, I've gotten clients because they're like, "Oh, you're married? Okay, cool." Like
they feel more safe and comfortable.
Yeah, but even then, I go, "Well, it doesn't really matter because what happens in the gym, it's not happening at home. So you gotta kind of
it kind of does. It's just like
careful,
it's just like people saying
you have to be careful.
But it's just like people saying they prefer to have a pastor of a church who knows how to pastor a home.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? A lot of people question sometimes having a pastor who ain't married, don't have kids and all that stuff, and you want to shepherd other people. Like, it's a two-way street, but I'm just a talk, you understand me?
So you guys are here to promote an event called We Are Stress, Success Strategies for Managing Stress Workshop, mindful techniques, time management hacks, real-life strategies. Don't just survive, thrive. Did Ian come up with the slogan? It sounds like an Ian slogan. The link is up there. Y'all seen the videos on YouTube. Shout out to Ava and Amber handling the things in the background here. So I want to ask, I'm going to start with you, Ian. So stress is something we all deal with, but no one knows how to handle it. What's one of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to manage stress?
That's a very interesting question. I think everyone has their own coping mechanism, and one of the main things is, well, at least for me, what I've understood with clients, it's just communication with the people around you. So for example, let's just say you can utilize this in relationships as well, where people, they tend to go into their natural coping mechanism state, which is either I'm avoidant, or you know what, I'm actually gonna dive deeper into work.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of people
It's like
tend
fight,
to do.
flight, freeze, fawn, all that jazz.
Exactly, and that brings me to my next point, which is the biggest one, is fight or flight.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
fight or flight is something that most of us are in constantly.
Yeah.
I actually read a book from a guy named Stephen Porges. Okay, it's a polyvagal theory, which is like a vagus nerve, it's like the 10th cranial nerve in our brain.
Yeah.
And that nerve is supposed to help us relatively stay calm. That's almost like what kind of
And it helps
goes
us
off.
it helps us regulate our nervous system so we get back to that baseline.
Exactly, and that baseline doesn't mean that you're always in that parasympathetic state, right? There's sympathetic and parasympathetic, stretching and all that, that's parasympathetic, but us kind of getting after it and getting all riled up, that's the sympathetic.
Yeah.
There's a balance
Your
between
feeling
the two.
versus
110%.
calm state, yeah.
Yeah, but, it's interesting, the body doesn't know the difference between, seeing a lion or stress at work. Stress is stress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I
It's
would
our,
say...
it's like our physiological and mental response to it.
Exactly, exactly.
But you said something about communication. That was also like interesting too, right? Because
Yeah.
we get more stress because we don't know how to, we're not self-aware enough to understand the onset of stress starting in our bodies. What does it feel like? Like our chest getting hot, headache,
Yep.
pressure to the head.
Yep.
We don't pay enough attention. And then because we're like not aware of it in our own body, we're not even able to communicate it properly to the people around us. Because we know stress, those those days when your mama comes home from work and before
You didn't take the chicken out. You got messed up.
as soon as she busts through the door, you're wondering what you didn't do. You're getting what's this? And we realize now that I'm older, I realize that is all that stress of being in these dealing with work, dealing with real life situations, especially in that era, and then coming home to your safe space and now unloading, but not really being able to communicate. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, but unloading it in a negative way, right?
Yeah. So I'm happy for this event. And, a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs, they're creatives and hustlers working, continuously. What's a quick, practical stress management tip that they can apply right now?
Deep breathing. Deep breathing is probably one of the most underrated methods of managing stress, and just allowing your body to kind of come to a calm state. There are different forms of breathing. There's like the counting breathing, there's box breathing, and that breath work actually helps you to kind of put you in a position where you can bring everything back down to level as best as possible. Because we can't eliminate stress completely, but can we minimize it? Can we manage it better? Can we respond versus react? And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about too, is response versus reaction, because we tend to react to things as they happen, as opposed to going, okay, why is this happening to me? What's this feeling that I'm having? How do I respond better to it? And the more that we can find ways to establish, I guess you could say, an algorithm for that, the better our body.
This guy's so wise.
Yo, this man is wise.
I'm like, you have no mental health issues.
My good friend, man.
I'm like, he is not like me. He has no mental health issues. He's talking about shit that I just learned. I just learned this year.
Ian, let me tell you something, man. Let me give you an origin story. Let me tell you something. Me and Kareem met when I was working at Nike. And, at that time I was training my man, Sean Boehm. We grew up together. But I kept seeing this guy's videos. And I said, something just drew me. It's like, yo. So one time he came and said, listen, man, I see you doing your training thing. Let me get on. And since then, listen, man, I've broken my foot. He's nursed me back to health. I had to relearn how to walk. There's times I've left sessions. I don't know how you are when you train. I guess the relationship is different between a man and a woman. But when two guys train, we talk about everything and anything. And what I like about Kareem is that Kareem is married. We're around the same age. And, we bounce about relationship and life. You know what time I've left that gym? I'm like, yo, I ain't shit. You know what time? Yo, there's times he's driven off, and I've been in. He doesn't know this. There's times he's driven off.
I think I got a whiff of that just now.
Yeah, and I'm in the parking lot. I'm like, I ain't shit.
I just felt it.
I'm a bad human being. I got to do better. You know what I mean? But but I'm being honest. I never told. But that's honest.
Yeah,
it's okay in life to know people that he's like, you know what, man? I like the way he goes about his business. There's nothing. It's not a jealousy thing. It's not an envious thing. I just like the way Kareem goes about his business. Yeah. And sometimes leave me to be in the parking lot,
contemplating life. I'm like, wondering you should buy that Colt 45, get a cigar.
Kareem invited me to Kingdom Hall. I seen him speak a plethora of times. I remember the first time I seen him speak, beautiful R&W suit, gorgeous. Guy went up there. I was like, man, I'll join your church. I like how things is going.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, listen, I know how you're feeling. This is how I feel after every workout.
Bro, I'm just sitting here, but it's something about having an aura that makes people contemplate their life. Because what you're talking about, I'm like, yo, this is someone who has no mental health issues, sitting next to me, going through the most. I'm just figuring out, because you're talking about being reactive. Yo, this is my life.
I'll tell you.
I'm learning now.
I'll tell you.
I'm late to the party.
I'm
mid-30s.
I'll tell you a true story. So 2 years ago, no, maybe it might have been last year. I think it might have been 2 years ago. A client of mine, Kima G, shout out to Kima G, she had an event, a men's event. Yeah, and she wanted me to be on the panel. Ian was there. And that was when we were going to come to.
Yeah.
And check this out. Real story. You don't know about this. So I text him, I go, yo, are you going to reach? He goes, something came up, I can't make it. And I was like, all right, cool. And for a moment, I felt like a burning. I was like, oh, okay, not coming. Oh, okay, another person just decided they're not going to show up. Okay, cool, whatever. And I just sat there and I kind of stewed with it for a bit. And then this, I think his name is Derwin, was speaking about understanding what your trigger is. And he goes, I'm going to ask you 5 questions. He didn't ask me, he asked someone there. He said 5 questions that can identify your trigger. And he asked the question, what's something that someone does that you don't like? And the gentleman said, I don't like when people ignore me. He goes, when's the first time that ever happened to you? Oh, it was when I was young. What happened? This happened. How did you react to it? Oh, I did this. When someone does that to you, how do you react now? I do this. okay, guys, now I understand how to trigger him. I'm going to ignore him. And he didn't talk to him for the rest of the time.
Yeah, I was there. It was crazy. He got tight.
But he got tight. And I said, wow. So I went in my car after it was over. And I said, wow.
Thank God it was me.
Best morning show in the country.
Do I respond or react? And I was thinking about my interaction with him. And I thought to myself, how do I normally react to certain things? Or I'll answer with sarcasm.
Yeah.
I was prepared to be like, oh, you didn't come through because of da-da-da. I was going to use sarcasm. But I had to think about it and go, no, but I'm reacting, not responding.
Yeah.
So when I did that, I went home. I told my wife, I sat in the car and I told her for 30 minutes. I'm like, yo, I went to this event. This is what happened. And I was thinking this. And she sat there like, her eyes were like, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. But everything made sense. And it changed the way I operate with everything.
Yeah.
Just that one day.
I need to be there without medication. Because baby been medicated. And yes, I'm able to, because you know what you need to do? It's about not being in that state of not having that regulated baseline. You cannot take the time to think.
Yeah.
Slow down before you react and think before you respond.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
that's a thing there.
And you're asking yourself, why am I getting offended by that? And then you're thinking back to, okay, so I've been ignored before. Not even just ignored, but like, oh, person said they're going to show up and they don't do this. And I'm thinking back, like, when is the first time this happened?
That's a lot of self-talk and
Yo,
think
I
back.
had a lot
so
of
now
fun in my
when
car.
people walking in the street talking to themselves, loud them. You understand me? They are regulating their nervous system.
But it makes you realize, okay, if that's something that stresses you, why does it stress you out?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, and that made me get a sense of control to be like, this is my guy. Like, circumstances happen, things happen, they don't always work out.
Yeah.
I can't be mad.
No.
Yeah.
And then it just made me think to myself, what else do I get mad about, upset about? And that just, the analysis train just started rolling, and that changed everything from that day.
Yeah,
That
awesome.
standpoint.
And that is real life practical tips. And you know what? It's for everybody listening, trust me, you understand me? He is like, okay, what you're telling is a blueprint to life. I learned very late, but I think it's the fact that we are such in a hustle and bustle, and like Weezy said, hustler, keep it moving type of a lifestyle, that to take the time to even process, a lot of people don't have. We're too busy multitasking, doing a bunch of things. If you're working with me and I don't have the time to take a step back, how, you know what I mean? How else am I going to do it? So.
Sure.
No, it's crazy. Montreal, my city. Fitness gurus in the building.
And
Ian
therapists.
Jones,
You sound like
Kareem
a psychotherapist.
Rawlins. You heard them talk. Need I say more? The link's going to be up on the link tree. Detour 514. The event's called We Are Stressed, April 19th.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be happening. Let me scroll back down. It's going to be happening at the Embassy Suites by Hilton Montreal Airport. We Are Stressed, Success Strategies for Managing Stress Workshop. Thank you, brothers, for being on the show, man. This has been amazing, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you
Hold
very
on,
much.
hold on. Before we go, get the people your social media. I know the face all go out.
Go
I
ahead,
was
go
just
ahead.
like,
Hey,
I'm so
Bonita for the
stressed.
YouTube. Give the people the
Yeah,
so they
so
can
the
follow
IG
you.
Jonesing to move. 2 with the number 2.
There you go. And the IG is GoodFITT_fitness. You know what it is.
But Jonesing, with an S or a Z? Jonesing.
Jonesing with an S.
Wasn't with an
Yes.
S, okay.
Yes. Interesting.
Don't get us started. Don't get us started. We got more music from Kenya. I brought everything back. We're going to jump into some joints right now. It's the best summer morning show in the country. It feels great to be back. It's the mighty CKT 90.3 FM. Moon Chaser Tata, Ian Jones, Kareem Rawlins. You know how we do things.
The Morning Detour on CKUT 90.3 FM.